Okay, we're going to talk about weaving today, and there's a couple of things of vocabulary that I want you to learn about. That way we're kind of all speaking the same language when we're talking together and helping each other. First of all, we're going to start by choosing our yarn that we're going to use for our warp. So this is called a skein of yarn. A skein of yarn comes like this in the store, and there's one end that you will see on the outside of the yarn, and that's where you want to pull your yarn off of. Okay, you don't want to pull it from the middle because it will end up looking like this, all raveled. And what people end up doing is just kind of cutting away to pull their pieces off. Now, this is not ruined. We can use it for when we actually start weaving, but for our first step for our warp, we want to choose a skein of yarn that looks a little bit more like this and isn't tangled, because we're not going to cut it off at first. So your first step is to pick a skein of yarn, any color that you want, and make sure that it's not too tangled. Once you have that ready, you're going to get a loom. A loom is what you weave on, and you can make looms out of a lot of different things. We've used cardboard. This one's cardboard. We've used paper plates. So if you want to make a loom at home, you can cut up an old box. You can cut up an old plate, paper plate. And then there's a lot of different kinds of looms. There's table looms, there's floor looms. We're using a cardboard loom, a rectangle cardboard loom. So the first thing that you're going to do is start adding your string from your skein of yarn onto your loom. So I'm going to pause that while you get everything ready, and then I'll show you how to put your warp on as our first step. Okay, so now you have your skein of yarn. You're going to find the end of it, and on your warp you are going to start at the top in the very first, on your loom you're going to start at the very top in the very first little notch that's already cut for you. You're going to take your yarn and you're going to put it into that notch like this and just let it hang down. In the back, leave a little tail, I would say to about the middle of your loom. So it looks like this, about to the middle of your loom, maybe even a little bit longer because we're going to tie that later. So now you're going to go straight down to the very last notch and hook that in. Now when you do this, you don't want to pull too tight. You kind of want it like a guitar string where it's tight. It's not too loose, it's not so tight that it's bending your loom, because I've seen people pull it really tight and it starts to bend the cardboard. So tight enough that it's not loose, but not so tight that it's bending. After you do that, you're going to bring your yarn up on the back of your loom and hook it into the next notch. And then you're going to go straight down, hook it into the next notch on the bottom. Okay, so it looks like that. And again, not too loose, but also not too tight that it's pulling your loom. And you're just going to keep doing that over and over. So bring it up the back, hook it into the top, bring it straight down, hook it into the bottom, bring it up the back, hook it into the top, bring it straight down to the bottom. So I'm going to pause the video so that you can do that and finish your warp strings. So the warp strings are what you put onto your loom that we're going to actually weave into. If you finish, help the people around you so that they can finish their warp strings also. And just leave it connected for now. Don't cut anything.